cover that really well. And, you know, you just kind of reek of desperation and you're trying to prove yourself and convince this person that you're the top guy, and so you do all the talking. The best ones are where you just ask a quick question and listen. They're going to tell you everything you need to know. And if they don't, ask them a question. The key is to listen. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they don't say. There might be an underlying problem, and you might have to ask a couple of questions to figure out what that is, even though it's not even related to the real estate. But the real estate can fix some other issue. You fix the problems, they're going to select you and work with you. The minute you start putting a number on there, if I got to get 5, and you start beating them up on the price, and then all of a sudden they're going to take a step back because they can feel that pressure coming, because you have a motive now. You got to get your quote $5 grand. Get your situation, and you're going to have a different attitude and everything else, kind of like he was talking about, if your attitude is to quote close the deal. Even if you close a deal and you only make $500, that's a game changer, because your confidence is going to go up. I can really do this. It actually works. So take the number. So many people, you know, quit their job and say, hey, man, I need to make $10,000 this month wholesaling in the next 30 days, and they're brand new to the business. It's kind of unrealistic. You can get lucky. I've seen it happen. But so, you know, when you're talking, just be patient, take a deep breath, listen. Listen to what they say. Yes.
I think the answer to her question, or what she was asking, she feels intimidated once in a while in talking to someone, and not to be intimidated. When you're turning someone down, or someone's saying something to you, you feel the pressures coming from them. So,
And
I think in answering her question is, hey, don't be intimidated. You're there to help them. So, but it's a two-way street.
yeah, and you're talking to them. You're not going to, we don't buy every house, but we help every client. Every client. That could be with information. If she wants retail and she's trying to get retail and the house is in distress, and, you know, well, I mean, you know, I understand that retail, your house would be worth $100 grand, but the most we could pay for it is probably somewhere between 55 and 60. Have you thought of doing the repairs yourself? You would make more money than we would. Why would you say that to them? Because they can't do that. I put all the cards on the table. And sometimes they can, and they're going to look at that option. But a lot of times they don't want the headache either. I tell them every option. Look, we're going to do this, but I think you should keep the house. There was one lady in a townhome wanted to sell it so she could go, she was behind on taxes, house was paid off. And I said, if I buy your townhome, you're going to move to an apartment and not have the stress anymore for a few months. But you have $600 a month rent. Your taxes are $2,000. It's time to grow up, wake up, start working, set up a payment plan, and stay in this place. Yes, you have a window unit and the AC's broke, but you're cool. Stay here, figure it out, because 3 months from now, they're going to evict you. Here they won't. You just got to pay your taxes, and you've got a whole year to do it. And she stayed. It wasn't a good place to buy her house. Does that make sense? That's like they're talking about from where it comes from. It's not about the money, it's about helping them. And in the process, the more people I help, the more value I bring to that situation each and every time, the more I make. And it's astonishing what you can make when you start really digging in and fixing these problems.
Because you start getting referrals.
Referrals, and just my first deal that I ever did with assisted moving program, where you help people to move. Long story, but looked at it, moved, tenant, get out, move her stuff. 2 weeks, hadn't moved. AC gets cut off, or the electric. And it's like, did you pack up your, no. And I'm trying to close on this thing. And I'm like, well, you know, so I pay, get the utilities on. Still nothing. She doesn't buy. Hey, I'm going to get over there with my buddy. We're going to start boxing this stuff up. Guess who shows up with a bottle of wine? Wanted to hang out. We had a good time, packed everything up. I went ahead and got movers to move all her stuff to storage. She'd already moved out. In that entire process of doing all of those things, that's why I got the deal. She had an offer $50,000 more from the neighbor across the street and didn't want to go with them because she knew we would take care of every little detail. We boxed everything. We put it in storage. Anything that she needed to move, repairs done on her house, we took care of all of that. It was one of the biggest assignment fees, and that's when I woke up and like, holy cow, the value you can bring to these people. And instead of getting mad, you need to get out and all this stuff. If she was the type that would do all that and get out, she probably wouldn't call me and wouldn't be in the situation she's in. So it's understanding from their point of view where they're coming from and accepting them and doing what you can, you know? Does that make sense?
All right, so let's continue on that segue, which is cards on the table. Many wholesalers, including myself, have this quandary. When and if do you disclose that you do not have an intention of closing on the property as a wholesaler? Do you do that? If so, how? Keep it quick.
It just depends on the person I'm talking to. If they're a real detailed type and they ask, what you focus on expands. I'm nervous about the contract. I don't know how to explain the contract. Oh my God. What's the whole meeting going to be about? The contract. This is just a standard contract. We need to sign it. But as soon as we get this, I'm going to get title going and focus. I always focus on the end questions. You know,
So do you disclose that you're not going to close?
it depends. If they flat out ask me, I don't know. I don't get that question anymore.
So you don't disclose, okay?
Yeah.
I rarely do too, just to be blunt. I don't. And if it's a typical situation, the only time I will is if I have an option kind of deal going on where I know that it's around 70 cents on a dollar and I could probably get a little more if I do a couple things different. I'll tell them, hey, listen, I can't do it personally myself. I can't buy the house. But what I'll do is I'll send it to my buddies and see if they'll buy it. And I'm very upfront about that. I use that technique sometimes when I have to, and that's just one particular situation. But rarely, 9 times out of 10, my deals are, hey, I won't disclose. Because they're getting their money anyways. You're still helping them out. So at the end of the day, you're helping. So.
For me, I find that my offers are pretty low. If I know I got a motivated seller on the line, you know, I'm gonna come in real low because I know I can always go up, and I'll always preface it with something along the lines of, you know, hey, I haven't seen the repairs. You know, assuming that you know the repairs aren't as much as they are, then you know I can probably do better. But here's my cash offer, and it's going to be pretty low. And if they accept it, okay, that's fantastic. You know, good job. Get out of my easy boy chair and go get the deal. In lieu of that, if they say, well, I really need the 55 and I'm at 30, then I'll say, well, I'll tell you what, and then I'll go into, you know, taking over payments or seller financing. And so I'll start to explain some other options. And part of those other options is I have, you know, investors in the area, landlords, rehabbers, you know, and that's when I'll start exploring. So I have my low cash offer, and I will close on that if I, you know, get it, because it'll be so low that, you know, I don't want, there's probably more money if I can close on it myself and then try and own on finance or sell it. But if that doesn't happen, then somewhere along the 3/4 of the way through the conversation, I will let the clients know that you know, me or somebody, another investor, is going to be closing on it. So it may not be. It's I do want to let them know, because one last point. If the house is vacant, it's very easy because you just put the lockbox on the code and you can cycle people through. If somebody's living there, you know, they're going to figure it out after a while, because if you've got 5 or 6 people going through the house, they're going to start to get suspicious. So there's another difference there too. If they're out of town, whatnot, you can, and the house is vacant, it's a lot easier to bring inspectors and whatnot in through the property.
Yeah, I usually don't. I usually, you know, go about it as if I'm going to buy it. The only time that I disclose to them that I might not buy it is if I can't get the price that I want, which, like Andy was saying, is if it's low enough, you know, I know that I can sell it. I know I can get a buyer for it or close on it myself. But if it's something they want more and it's, higher than what I'm comfortable with, I will tell them, you know, look, this doesn't fit my criteria, but I got some friends that I work with that do the same thing I do, and they're looking for something in that area. If you can give me a contract and give me 30 days, let me see if I can get one of them to pick it up, and then I'll try to, and I'll go with their price. And they know that I'm not the one buying it, and I tell them straight up, look, it doesn't fit. Like, if you want me to buy it, I got to get it at the price that I want. But if you want your price, I got some other options, and let me see what I can do. And then I tell them, that those are the guys I work with, and I'll take them over there and show them the property. Even if there's tenants, I tell them, look, we got to get in there. Now, if I get it under contract, and it's at the price I want, and I have to take people over there, and there's tenants, I will schedule group showings and tell them that they're my funding partners, because technically they're my buyers, so they're my partners, and they're the ones with the funds that are going to close the deal. So that's how I go about those situations.
So let's harp on that. Did you guys hear that? A group showing. Can you expand on that for maybe a little bit, please?
Okay, like just a couple weeks ago, actually, well, I guess it's been about a month ago now, we had 2 houses next door to each other, and they both had tenants in them. And we told the seller that, we needed to get in with our partners and our funding partners to take a look at the property. So we scheduled an hour, window, we're 30 minutes on one house and 30 minutes on the other. So we had all our buyers show up, and we go through one house, and then we just went next door and went through the other house, and we sold both those properties like that. One of the buyers that was in the group showing ended up picking it up.
Question.
What do you do to stop or prevent other wholesalers from taking your deal and then wholesaling on top of it? Because when I was wholesaling, sometimes the problem I would have is another buyer would come in through another wholesaler who would see me email it out, and then now he's going to send 60 or 70 people a day by that house, and then my seller's like, oh my God, why are all these cars coming by my house all the time? And then it would wind up kind of screwing the deal up. So is there something you do to kind of keep those other wholesalers in check?
May I?
Sometimes it's helpful to use them.
May I request this? It's a great question, but it's kind of unrelated to the topic. So let's hold on to these questions towards the end, and then we can take all the questions that are not necessarily related to the topic together. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Clay?
No, I think these guys answered the question. It's very well answered.
Okay. So you went into the selling side. So that's now you've gone from the buying side to the selling side. So why don't you take a few minutes and talk about, now that you have the property in the contract, again, from the perspective of somebody getting started, the process of building the famous seller's list. Oh, sorry, buyer's list.
Okay. Oh, how about building a buyer's list? Yeah, when I first started, I started out at meetings like this, getting every business card I could, going to every networking event in town, talking to people that I knew actually bought houses, talking to title companies and finding out who their, buyers were and trying to get their information so I could contact them to see if they wanted more houses. I just looked for every way to find more buyers. Ghost signs, like bandit signs for, we buy houses. I would put out ghost signs on properties. Like, say I had a property under contract and I already sold it. Even if I already sold it, I still put 50 bandit signs out there to get calls from other investors to put there. And then I just try to grab their email, and I would put their email on my list, and then slowly it just built and built and built. And then it was like 1,000, 2,000, 6,000. And now it's like, it's close to like 11 to 15,000 because they go up and down. But it's just a matter of just getting every email you can of everybody that's interested, and that's about how I do it.
I think as soon as you get a property under contract is to drive the neighborhood, and if it's a landlord deal, call the for rent signs. I've sold properties that way. Of course, you can put your deals on the various websites. These guys are going to talk about their techniques, but one thing I think is awesome way to do it, and I want to pass this on to you, is put a sign in the front yard with a different phone number on it than the phone number that you're going to use to market to investors. And why is the reason, guys? Well, you're going to get neighbors to call. Okay, especially if you're in a neighborhood where there's cash buyers, retail cash buyers, mark it up another $5,000 or $10,000. So it won't happen every time because retail buyers tend to be a lot more picky. They want certain beds and baths and all that. But what you can do is you can market to retail people for cash. Must sell, need cash. And then also, of course, you also market to your wholesale, your rehabbers and your landlords as well. Does everyone understand that? Was I explain that correctly?
Oh, sorry.
Getting used to that thing. I would do this. I'd do the same thing. I would use AC's method and use the ghost signs. And even better, you can use those H-wire stakes. And like I said, come visit me after we're finished, and I'll give you 2 places to go get the cheapest signs and the cheapest H-wire prices in town. But use those, pull them out of the ground, pick them up in 2 days, and then go put them in another area. Save your money, you know? And also, I mean, there's a couple of wholesalers here in this room, and I've just suggested this to them, and obviously you're ethical with it, but you say, hey, listen, I got 1,000 cash buyers on my buyers list. You got 500, why don't we trade? And we send an email to these buyers and say, hey, listen, I've got 2 or 3 deals a month coming in. I want to share my deals with you. I know John, and he's giving me your list. Is it okay to send you deals? That way, and then I've also been taught by some of these guys and more other guys is send out postcards to buyers, you know? Simple. So it's my way.
Just real quick, you can put out bandit signs in neighborhoods, exits at Home Depot, Walmart, must sell 3210K. They call, hey, AC was talking about ghost signs. I already sold that, let me get your name and number. If you got a property and it's a great deal, how many buyers can buy that property? So don't go, I got to get 1,000 people on my buyers list. You just need a few good buyers. The same buyers that I met in the beginning are the same buyers that I still sell to today. So just be aware, I mean, you need buyers, but I've got a buyer that'll buy 70 cents on the dollar. Well, my deals are at 65 cents on the dollar. Am I going to be able to sell it pretty dang quick? So you got to be flexible on your price, whatever. You're going to meet people along the way, just like they're saying, network. Don't worry about building a huge buyers list. Get the deal. That's the hard part. Once you have a deal and you come up and present it and the numbers work, it'll move.
Question.
Are you guys using standard trade contracts or y'all using assignment contracts or whatever it is?
I don't use them.
I use Trex, but
I use a 1-page or 2-page contract.
Okay, the answer is, how many use track contract here? Okay, so two track contracts, the rest 1-page contracts. Perfect. Okay, so let's get to some individual questions now. Now, I know some of you are doing things a little different when it comes to selling properties or pitching to a certain group of people. Could you maybe take that, AC? Would you like to talk about what are you doing these days to sell your properties? Is there a unique group, unique set of people that you are marketing your properties to?
Well, I blast everything out to my buyers list. I got like I said, we have like 15,000 people on our buyers list. Probably 11,000 are active. But I blast everything out. But I have noticed a shift in the buyers. There are more flippers coming back into buying now. Like in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, like it was flippers. It was people who were buying a house, fixing it up, turning around and selling it, making their money, come back and buying another one. And I had like 10 buyers, 15 buyers that I marketed everything to, and they would buy anything I had because as long as it was a good deal, they were willing to buy it. When the market crashed and changed and everything, I went through a little bit of a spell where I was like, man, why aren't these buyers buying anymore? And they, I know a couple of my buyers lost like, $1 million, $500,000. They were out of the game for a little while. But the buyers that popped up to buy then were then the landlord buyers, the buyers that were holding, 20 years ago when the market took a dip. They bought low, held them for a while, and then sold them when the market came up. And those same buyers resurfaced again. I know a few buyers that told me, they're like, man, that's where I made my first few million. When the dip hit in the 80s, I bought low, held on to it, and then sold when the market came back, up good again. And they made money like that. So now when the market dipped down low again in the crash, shift, bubble, whatever you want to call it, those buyers and those type of buyers were coming out of the woodwork and buying. They're not looking to buy, fix, and flip. They want to buy, clean up a little bit and rent, for a while, and then they'll fix it later if they have to. But your buy and hold people are who came up to buy. Now the market is starting to get back up to where it was, 2004, and for the next year and a half, 2 years, it's looking like it's going to keep going up. So it's going to be, an excellent market for fix and flip again. So those guys are all starting to come back again now. So now I have landlords and fix and flip guys who are looking for deals. So that's the biggest change that I've noticed in who I'm selling properties to.
So this is probably a great point to take questions, if any, on selling side. Any specific questions on what these guys are doing to sell their properties? Yes, sir.
Could you tell me what
What's the process for determining what your assignment fee on the properties? Whoever wants to take the question.
Well, we're all doing we're all running the same numbers. Matter of fact, I did AC got a house that I bid on, and it was the one that he sold to Brent Phillips, and I was there right before him. Before me was a Homevester guy, and what was interesting, the seller was talking about it, and I was going to do a sub 2 on it. The numbers were a little tight, and he wanted to think about it. The previous Homevester guy ran the numbers, and so he was asking me, well, what would your cash offer be? I ran the numbers, and I was within about $3,000 of the Homevester guy. So I mean, that'll give you an idea of how tight the numbers can be. So it really.
The question is, what is that formula?
Oh,
Is that your question?
No, it's a question I think is
The
how
Mayo.
you determine that fee.
the fee.
Like, you know
So.
how to run your numbers, right?
How do you determine how much you're gonna mark it out?
Okay, so what I end up doing then is you get your Mayo, and then you back out your fee. So typically, I'll put in my Mayo. Okay. Will Dunker's going to put the formula up, and then I'll just back out. If I want to make 6,000, I'll back out 6,000 on that Mayo, so that I'll get it at 6,000 below Mayo, and then I'll sell it to my buyers at Mayo.
What I'll do is I'll feel out the seller. Is he really motivated? Is he, going through a divorce? Is it an inherited deal? If there's room there, I try to feel him out. And I say, hey, well, your house is worth $100,000. Would you take 50?